Hello, welcome to Tea with the Druid, 167. There are 111 people watching at the moment, 111. It's lovely to see you and you're arriving. When you arrive in the forest clearing, now there are 151 people watching. When you arrive in the forest clearing, do please say, just give a word for how you're feeling right now, not how you've been feeling this week or earlier on today, but just in this moment, in this precise moment. It would be lovely to read. Hello, darling, says Darren. Hello, darling, to you. And hello from Epping Forest, says Julie Oven. Great. Italy, upstate New York. John King is tired. And it is 8 o'clock. Yes. Melancholy. Happy and blessed. Wee, says Susan. Feeling hopeful, says Christopher White. Exciting, says Lenny. Better, says Dan. This is interesting. Focus and relaxed. Tingling, says Eleanor. That's nice. Sasha is content. Lisa is grateful. There's a lovely feeling of, now there are 275 of us in the clearing. Exhausted, says Ariane. This is really nice to read. Blessed, spring-like, tired but happy, hopeful. Really, really rich range of emotions. It reminds me somehow, the image comes to me of the natural world where there are lots of different plants and flowers and insects and birds, a whole range of different. John is feeling unfocused. Okay, so let me share with you how I'm feeling. It's the 1st of March. We've had a run of lovely weather here and down in the south of England. And in tuning in before this evening's session, I was feeling this sense of an intangible feeling, a feeling I couldn't quite grasp. It was very lovely, but I couldn't grasp it. And I noticed that in my consciousness, I was trying to grasp this feeling. What is it? This rather beautiful feeling of spring-like opening, subtle, refreshing. And I was reaching outside to grab this feeling so I could sense what it was. Couldn't get it. So I thought, well, no, I should reach inside. And I reached down inside. And this message came, no, it's not for you to reach for it. It's for it to arise out of you, out from the center, for it to be there, just trusting that it's there. Even to say it's arising from the center of me would be misleading because it's just not located in the specific place. And then in letting go of trying to grasp it, I just opened to this idea that is associated in the Druid tradition with this time, which is that this is a time of promise in the Northern Hemisphere where we're going into the spring, moving towards the spring equinox. It's a time of promise. And if you think about it, there's something really interesting in this concept of promise, which is promise can be something very specific. You expect a specific thing from a promise, but it can also be used in a general sense. Imagine your child's teacher saying to you, your child has a lot of promise. Or you're in a meeting or you're talking about an idea with friends and there's a feeling in the room where it's, yes, there's a lot of promise here. You're not being specific. You don't know exactly how this thing is going to grow, but you know it's good. It feels good. If something is promising, it feels good. And that's how I'm just going to scroll down for more comments now. The 365 of us in the forest clearing now, one person for every day of the year. So back to this idea of promise. This is a time, if you want to tune in to the outside world and link it to a state of consciousness and a level of being, if you like. One way to do this is to meditate on promise. Again, not in a specific way, promising yourself anything or promising other people anything, but just in this much more general sense of promise as in potential. And what I realized as well is that in doing that, in thinking about the promise of spring, this fresh light quality, it's got a feeling of opening out. When we think about promise, when we meditate on promise, there's a kind of opening that occurs in our heart. It's a very opening quality or emotion to feel. When we hold on to opinions, to fear, distrust, even to visions of the future where we fix on ideas about what's going to happen into the future, they can have the effect of giving us focus, but also the downside of that is that they give closure and a confinement to our aspirations. And of course, what's happening now for us, and has been happening for the last year, is it's been very hard to think about the future. It's been very hard to set goals because we don't know, when lockdowns are going to end, when the pandemic is going to finish, and so on. And so we've been in this strange state of being unable to envision the future, to such an extent that a friend suggested to me the other day that it's like a collective feeling of being in the womb, where you don't, even if you're comfortable, as it were, but you can't get out. You don't know when you're going to be born. Whether or not that resonates with you or not, there's something in that, in as much as we have been going through a period where it's been hard to envision the future. I think what we then do is we then feel that it kills hope, but it doesn't have to kill hope. We can still have hope. Hope is this kind of quality or idea that is associated with promise and with an opening out and an expansion. And it's as if now everything around us in the natural world is offering us this promise, the promise of spring. Just in these few days of sunshine, we've had the flowers coming out, wonderful colors, camellias starting to blossom, and it's really looking lovely. And love and sun from Mexico, coming from Eva. So I thought, why don't we do a meditation, a completely different one than our usual one today. A sense of suspense, says Nicole. Yes, a feeling. Morgan's saying it's going to get much better in the near future. I'm a kind of incurable optimist. I always feel like things are going to get better, and so I have to sort of temper that with I don't know what, but something, common sense, or but actually deep inside, one of the things that I'm really grateful for is that I'm kind of blessed with an optimism and a sense of trust, because in the end, it all boils down to trust. So much around us can lead us into being fearful and not trusting. And that undermines us emotionally, psychologically, even physically. And so the more one can open to trust, I mean, that's why I think spirituality is so important, because a spiritual worldview if it's worth its salt, grounds you in a trust in the ultimate goodness of reality and of life. So that despite the suffering, despite the difficulties, despite the injustices, that at the heart of life is love. And this is a sustaining idea, and this is a core idea, I think, of any spirituality that is of value for us. And so here's a meditation I'm going to suggest that we do, which we can. There are all sorts of interesting comments which keep distracting me. Sandy is making plans and building a house during the pandemic, living in the here and now, but working and preparing for the near future. Catherine's saying, let's see, I've used this year as closure on the past and new beginnings as I'm on a new journey. We've had bad fog over here today. I resonate with everything you've said. Yeah. Jessie says, the turning of the wheel gives a comforting sense of progress in such a seemingly stagnant time. I think that's interesting, Jessie. I think it's felt stagnant for months, but now it's feeling different. It doesn't feel stagnant anymore. And Ines, I have been feeling very worried the last few days. I just went down to the beach and the ocean made me feel hopeful. All tides come and go. This too shall go. Yes, exactly. Where was that? There was one, hang on. Badger, it feels liminal, but as with all liminal spaces, it is transitional. You never stay there forever. It can be uneasy, but you move on. And then Kathleen, also an internal and incurable optimist. I'm feeling my limbo lifting. Fantastic. That's a great one. Elka, I always think in options and possibilities, and that keeps me smiling and optimistic. As well as the question with problems or bad moods or bad news or bad tempers, I ask myself, what would love do? That helps me a lot. Eva in Germany, it still feels stagnant. Well, I hope it's going to shift. And Eva says she needs strength, or a different Eva. I need strength for several people. Okay. And Franklin, the two streams are simultaneous. Though things be falling apart, things are building a new future. Pay attention to the new world that is coming out of this passing of the old paradigm. Yes, Franklin, thank you. And Melissa, down in South America, but apparently standing by Stonehenge at the moment. It is important to observe, to be aware and learn from all that comes to us and we can't control. For we can never control anything. I think we've had a big shift collectively in our relationship to the whole concept of control over this last year, realizing how what little control we have, and as a result, how important trust is. Okay, so here we go. What I'd like to suggest is a kind of meditation to do as on the one level, as an exercise in flexing our muscles of the imagination and visualization. So let's do this in a really relaxed way. Don't force it or try hard. If it's hard for you to see things, then that's good, because it means that there's work to do in it, and you just have to pretend. Just if you can't see what I'm suggesting, just pretend you can see them, or say to yourself, if I could see what's being suggested, what would I see? Whatever little trick you need, or just listen to the words if you can't see anything. So here's this exercise. I remember reading in a book of Paul Brunton. I don't know if you know his books. I guess he was writing in the 1950s, 60s maybe. about a search in secret India, a search in secret Egypt, and so on. They were great fun to read. And he talked about a particular magic trick that sadhus would do in India, where they would make a plant grow within, as you looked at it, with their magic powers, with their hands, and the plant would grow. They were doing it with prestidigitation, but in a way they were expressing something, a truth at a mystical level. The other thing to think of in this meditation is the way we see that there's wonderful nature photographs, photography, films, speeded up, time-lapse photography. So just try this. Just imagine now, you might like to close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself. And you sense yourself being seated in front of your screen. And you have a bit of a stretch, just to stretch your arms out, just to get rid of any tension, shake your hands perhaps, and then just settle down with a nice big sigh. And here you are sitting in front of your screen. And you just allow in your imagination for the screen and for your surroundings just to shift and change, so that you're seated outside on a spring morning. Sun's shining, it's nice and warm. And somebody has given you a beautiful little window box, a little flower planting box. It's about 2 foot long, about 6 inches deep. Maybe it's just arrived. Maybe somebody's delivered it and you've just taken it outside into the garden or outside. Or maybe a friend has given this to you. And there it is. And you put it on the table in front of you to admire it. And on the front, there are 4 ceramic tiles. And they're painted, beautiful little paintings. And in the tile on the left that you look at, there's an image of 2 people out in a field in the summer gathering hay, making a hay rick, tossing the hay up. You can see it, and the image is painted on this ceramic tile, and it's all lovely oranges and yellows, and you can see the sunshine in this scene. Then you look to the tile to the right of it, and you see the edge of that same field, and the trees have got all their autumn colors. All the leaves are golden and red. Again, it's beautifully painted. Perhaps you see the 2 people having a picnic, an autumn picnic down in the ground in front of the trees. And then you look to the next tile, and those same trees are bare, and there's snow on the ground. And then you look to the next tile on the right, and you see this beautiful little rustic scene, the same field with these 2 people, and the land has been plowed and turned over, and they're throwing seeds. They've got sacks of grain slung around them like baskets, going around their neck and hanging by their waist, and their hands are just picking the seeds out and they're throwing them into the ground. So you've seen these 4 seasons on these tiles of summer, autumn, winter, and spring. And then just coming towards you, you see there's an old man with a wheelbarrow. And he's got wonderful, wonderful wizened features, wonderful wrinkly hands, and a really kindly face. And he's just wheeling a wheelbarrow towards you. And he sets it down beside you, and it's full of the most wonderful soil, rich loam. And he looks you in the eye, and you look at him, and you just feel his affection for you. And you nod to him, he nods to you, and then he just walks off. just walks away, and you find yourself with this wheelbarrow. And you put your hands into the soil now, and you can feel the soil in your hands. You just enjoy feeling it in your fingers. And you pick up some of this soil and you do what Sir Francis Bacon, the father of modern science, used to do. You bring the soil up and you smell it. And you breathe in this soil. And then you put it in your window box. You put it down in the box. You fetch some more. And again, so that's you filled it up with soil. And then coming to you from the other direction, there's a woman coming towards you. And again, there's a warm, kindly feeling. She's elderly, but sprightly too. And again, there's a sense of complete comfort with her. She really is earthy and clear and strong and good. And she's just bringing a little basket of bulbs. She's putting these bulbs, she puts the basket down, and again, she looks straight at you, and you look into her eyes. And you feel yourself just bowing in gratitude and acknowledgement of this being who's coming to you. She nods to you, turns away, and again, she just disappears from view. So you pick up one of these bulbs and you hold it in your hand. And you see the little hairy, beard that it has, the roots at the bottom of it. You feel that. There's the little nodule at the top. And you place that, you plant it in your window box. Just make a little space with your fingers. Plant it down. And then you do the same thing with all 4 of these bulbs, covering them with soil and patting the soil down. And I'll just be quiet for a moment while you do that. And then you see that there's a little watering can. You hadn't noticed it before, but it's just to your right there. And you just pick it up, sprinkle the bulbs in the soil. And then just sit. Just put your right palm on the right end of the window box, your left palm on the left end of the window box. And you're not trying to send energy or anything. You're just so happy that all these gifts have arrived. And you're just feeling warm. You close your eyes for the moment. And you can feel their friends around you too. You're not alone here. Maybe there are members of your family, maybe invisible friends. Maybe even your ancestors. But you can feel the presence of other beings, and you feel the warmth and the love. And then you open your eyes, and just as in a time-lapse film, you see 4 hyacinths growing out of these bulbs. Maybe you see different plants. I'm seeing hyacinths, but maybe you see different ones. But they just start to grow. The flowers coming into bloom. And you breathe in their perfume. And you feel the color from these flowers washing into your aura, flowing into your aura, bringing a really subtle sense of healing and calm. And as you breathe in the perfume, you just gently close your eyes and focus on this perfume that may be quite strong in your imagination now. If you can't sense it in your imagination, just imagine that you can, pretend you can. Gradually, as you focus on this perfume, you allow your sense of the window box and its flowers, of being seated outside, gently fade. The perfume lingers around you as you slowly become aware of being seated in front of your computer or your screen, fully present here and now. And then when you feel ready, you open your eyes. So, I hope you enjoyed that. Lovely to see Jenny and Dirk from in Germany. I hadn't seen them for ages. What does Cal say? In India, I have witnessed this by a guru. The plant was growing in front of my eyes. It was no illusion, no trick, as real as sitting here in front of the PC. Fantastic. That's wonderful. That must have been such an extraordinary thing to see, Tao. Kai. Yes. Jill saw beautiful crocuses, white and shades of purple. Thank you. Franklin, notes of lily of the valley. Yes, when I first did that meditation just before coming on air, lily of the valley was the strongest perfume that I could smell. Pascal says, I want to go out and buy a window box now and make this a reality. When I was describing the tiles, with the 4 seasons, I was thinking of, there's a beautiful little church near here at the foot of the Downs, which has these, sorry, I was just trying to take Carl's message off, but I don't know how to take it where it's gone now. Which has these paintings of the 4 seasons on the panels, the screen, I think it's called the rood screen, between the altar and the main part of the church. It's got these lovely paintings of the 4 seasons on it. And it would be really lovely, wouldn't it, be to get 4 blank white tiles and paint these scenes on oneself. So lovely to see all these messages. Yes, want to go and plant some hyacinths now. Yes. Wow. Laura had rose, sunflower, and red hot pokers. Wow. Yes. Yes. Yes, there was the other thing, I said at the end you were surrounded by other people. Even though we were doing this as an exercise with our imaginations, and imagine just we ourselves were working with this visualization, I could sense a real sense of community. I could read these comments forever. I'm going to make a cup of tea and I'm going to come back and read your comments. So lots and lots of love. Have a wonderful week ahead. And if you get this feeling of promise in the air, promise deep within you, promise in some intangible way, maybe don't try to seize on it. Just allow it to be there and let it just gently inform your life and fill you with a sense of hope, without feeling you need to fully understand it, or that you have to get anywhere with it, or you have to expect anything, but just really being buoyed up by it. And let's check in again next week and see how we're feeling. Okay, have a wonderful week. Bye.